All right, everyone. Hello, welcome. My name is Al. I'm going to be going over a recap for the Living Well with Parkinson's educational series that we have been doing in person. So we had a fantastic meeting this first time around, going over about building your care team. And so we made a flyer, a handout that we were able to pass out during the meeting today. So I'll be going ahead and sharing that, and we'll be talking about the things that we brought up, all the important highlights that we mentioned, that we discussed in detail. People had questions, and so we'll be talking about all those things as a recap for today's meeting. All right, so let me go ahead and share screen now. We're going to go ahead and pull that up. All right. Excellent. Whoops. Okay, now that we have that open, all right, so this is the handout that we gave for people today to use. So we're going to be talking about building your team. So that can mean a lot of different things, but we talked about it in the aspect for building your healthcare professional team. So what does that entail? So hopefully at this point in time, we maybe have heard about a movement disorder specialist. That is a neurologist with additional training in Parkinson's disease and other movement disorders. So in this particular discussion, we talked about how one might come to get referred to a movement disorder specialist, and that's usually through another neurologist who maybe through another physician that maybe referred to you, that maybe suspected that you may have had Parkinson's, and so they referred you to a specialist like a movement disorder specialist. And so we also went over the education behind a movement disorder specialist. They do usually a fellowship in in addition to the regular training that you might do to specialize in neurology. There are ones that do an additional training education in a fellowship of movement disorders. So they definitely are, they definitely have extensive knowledge in Parkinson's and the therapies, uh, medication, research. And so they're ones to be connected with if possible within your area. And so we talked about the experiences people have with their movement disorder specialists. We talked about if you are, lucky enough to have access to different movement disorder specialists within your area, how you can potentially get second opinions when in regards to kind of medication, maybe finding the one that fits you, whether you would like someone with a more holistic approach. Maybe you want someone who has maybe access to maybe the latest medications, or maybe one who has maybe more extensive connections with maybe some clinical trials that you might be interested in. And so I'm kind of being comfortable with going around, getting a second opinion, shopping around to see someone who fits what you want, right? That's totally appropriate. That's to be expected, right? You don't go to, just one person just seeking one opinion. Say you want a quote on something, so you want to get a consultation for multiple to find who is the right person that's going to help you for what you want, right? And so that's what we talked about with movement disorder specialists and their particular training and what they can do to help you. So then we talked about the role of the physical therapist, which is one of my favorite topics because, yes, I am a physical therapist. Many of our instructors here at Rogue are physical therapists. So we feel very comfortable talking about what is the role we play, right? So first thing that came up is, right, there are physical therapists that do specialize in different areas, right? So you might have heard of the physical therapist who maybe you go to see when you hurt your knee, you hurt your back, your shoulder, whatever it is, right? You may go to these traditional therapies that one might associate with traditional physical therapy. You go, they do some treatment on you, you do some exercises, and you get better, right? That is one aspect of physical therapy, yes. But we also have the people who, physical therapists who specialize in maybe working with the neurological population. And so we may be able to do a little bit different type of therapy, maybe focus on balance, walking, being able to do things like getting back to some of the exercises you want to get back to, flexibility, strength, kind of your main big movements that you want to get back to, right? And do so safely. And so that is the role we play. One question that came up while doing this, talking about the physical therapist, is what is the difference between, say, insurance-based therapy and paying for someone for a physical therapist to be seen, right? The cash pay versus the insurance-based therapist. So you may have already seen a physical therapist, so you're already familiar with using your insurance, paying a copay, maybe not paying a copay, and then getting your therapy, right? Eventually, your time with that physical therapist is gonna end, right? So they should be planning on discharge, having you be independent on maybe by the time they see you the first visit. So they might give you some homework, some exercises to do while you're not in therapy. So that they eventually you will run out of visits, and they'll be like, all right, I've shown you everything I can show you in the 6 weeks that the insurance approved of. Now you are on your own, right? So that's one way of dealing with therapy. And sometimes that's all we need, right? We go through those 6 weeks, or those 6 treatments, 4 weeks, whatever it is. And you say to yourself, well, I feel good. I just got to continue with this trend. That's great. And then there's also the cash-based physical therapist, where they don't require the insurance, right? You may not require maybe the approval of a doctor to go see them. And so you can see them maybe on a one-on-one basis for as long as you like, with no caps, no limitations. And so one thing that I like about Rogue here specifically is that we have that opportunity. You can always ask us for any questions. You can see one-on-one sessions, whether that's via online or in person. We can see you, we can talk to you, what we recommend would be best, right? And we can definitely tailor specific maybe group classes where you can get the most out of it, right? So what we do specifically here at Rogue is we try to find that bridge between insurance-based therapy and kind of that cash-based therapy, where you can continue with those exercises to continue to improve, see those gains in strength, maybe improve that balance. You're walking, right, while doing independent exercise, but you're doing it within a group setting. So you're doing it under the supervision of us. You're doing it following us. So you have some guidance still. So you're not completely on your own. So that's what the biggest difference between what we do here at Rogue compared to maybe what you might see at a hospital or a clinic doing insurance-based therapy. And then we're talking about the occupational therapist, right? They also play a similar role, right? Where it almost feels like sometimes these two kind of therapies overlap. And that is true. In many ways, it does overlap, but they can focus on different areas that may be more beneficial than if you go to them compared to others. For example, they might be able to help with the activities of daily living, kind of the important day-to-day things that you might find yourself doing, and they might be able to help you with that. For example, maybe taking off and putting on clothes, getting in and out of the bathroom, going to the shower, being able to use a shower, being safe with doing that. They also do work with balance, right, in those functional areas. And so that is something that they do. They also have specific training in kind of vision. So maybe changes in vision. Normally you might see that with like in the hospital, they might do some sort of vision test, or they might specifically, if you have any changes in vision, maybe due to maybe symptoms of Parkinson's, that's something that they can definitely help you out. And one of the things that they are really, really good about is using the technology, any equipment that you might need to make your life a little bit easier. For example, finding ways to being able to zip up or button a shirt, zip up, your pants, whatever it is, and figuring out what is the best way for you to do that, right? They can help you with your handwriting if you feel like that's been changing, that's been bothering you a lot, and you want to get that better. So that's definitely one field, like one area that OT definitely covers, and they definitely do a lot of similar things that physical therapists do, but they can also help with all those other kind of fine motor stuff and activities of daily living. So one question that was asked, how do I know when to see a PT or an OT? That is a very good question, right? since they do similar stuff, you can go see a PT and OT at the same time if you're doing insurance-based therapy, because Medicare specifically gives you different allotted amounts for the two therapies. So physical therapy will be in its own category, OT will be in a different category. So that is definitely possible for you to see maybe both. So you can probably have twice the therapy. So whatever one is doing, the other can also focus on, and you're going to just notice the improvement that much quicker. But if you're wanting to choose that you're pressed for time, you only want to do one, OT or PT, right? I would say OT is going to be, again, that activities of daily living. You want to think of physical therapy of like your balance, your walking, your strength, all of those things kind of like in big picture view is what we're going to be doing as PT. OT is going to be your specific things that you want to get back to. Maybe you want to get back to being able to dress yourself. Maybe you're having trouble taking off, maybe say your swimsuit, or putting on your pants in the morning when you feel like the medications haven't quite hit. They would be able to help with that. All right. So one thing we also want to talk about with OTs, they also have a field in kind of the cognitive aspect, the emotional aspect. So they also consider that as well. And now we have the speech language pathologist, or the speech therapist, as some of you might know, because they do speech therapy, but that is kind of not the only thing they do. They also help out with swallowing and things related to your cognition. So they can definitely help out with strategies in those aspects as well, right? One thing we talked about that I should mention that physical therapists also can get trained in is something called LSVT, right? For physical therapists, it's called LSVT big, right? Which is Lee Silverman voice treatment for big. So doing the big movements. Well, speech language pathologists can help people who are having issues with speech and who are, feel like they're being told to repeat themselves quite a bit because maybe their loved ones cannot hear them. So that's going back to the main issue with Parkinson's, is the perception of how much we're moving. And that also can affect how big we're moving our vocal cords, because our vocal cords are muscles after all. So we got to train them just in the way we would train our other muscles as well. So they could definitely help with the speech, with the swallowing, in terms of the challenges that they may kind of address. In addition, you might be able to find maybe organizations that specifically focus on this. We talked about a organization or a program called Speak Out, and that is definitely a group that helps out with people with Parkinson's to help improve their speech, both with like pronunciation and volume. So definitely look into that for if you're interested in some of the speech related therapies for Parkinson's. And then last, we talked about you, right? Because no one is a better expert on yourself than you. So knowing that the more you educate yourself, the more you're proactive about your own health is going to be helpful in the long run, because ultimately all these healthcare professionals, no matter how extensive their education, they're not going to know exactly who you are. And so it is up to you to kind of figure out what is it that you need from whoever you're going to see, right? If you're going to see someone about balance, what are those specific instances that you have noticed that cause the imbalance, right? Or maybe that you notice yourself kind of experiencing the most trouble, maybe when you're in the bathroom. Why are you having trouble in the bathroom? For whatever reason, or maybe you're thinking about the medication, right? Kind of keeping track of that. Make yourself a journal, a log of some of these, maybe outline some of these things before you go see whoever you're going to see for your healthcare provider. And that's going to be a big difference maker in how effective this care team will be for you. All right. And then that's not to say those are the only people that we consider in our healthcare team. We're going to see if I can turn this around. So we also have this whole spectrum of people who could be included in your team, right? And so that's not to say we're limiting at all who your team could be. It could be all of these people, from the social worker to dietitian, your gastroenterologist or pharmacist. Everyone can be playing a part of this team. And so it's important to be proactive, knowing what they do, how can they help you, and making sure that your needs are being met most importantly. So that was what we talked about for today's first meeting, and I hope you enjoyed the content, the recap. If you're interested in coming in person, definitely reach out. We'll definitely love to have you. Otherwise, we'll be doing a recap again next time when we talk about exercise and Parkinson's and how that affects different factors of the condition. All right. We hope that you enjoyed this recap, and we hope to see you make any comments, reach out, any feedback. We appreciate it. All right. See you later, everybody.